Hey guys, Marshmallow Champ here, back with another video, and today we're doing a Cyber Dragon deck profile. Cyber Dragon is a deck that I've never really played before until I found that I just had the entire deck sitting around, which have never happened to me before. So I thought to myself, why not just build it? It's obviously not optimal, but this is when I plan to do updates like every few months and whatnot to show you how I've changed it, my new techs, new things that you could be considering, and just different ways of playing. Before I do get into this deck list, I will quickly say that I plan on doing a separate video doing test hands, tips, and just various combos to show you how to play this deck most efficiently. And that should be coming out soon, so if you want, just stick around on this channel, maybe even subscribe and do the notification thing. That's a good way to do it. To stay tuned for that video. It should be out in a few days anyway, after I've made this one. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So, obviously, with it being a Cyber Dragon deck, we are playing 3 of the boy himself, Cyber Dragon. If you don't know Cyber Dragon, which you probably do if you've come for this deck video, but if your opponent controls a monster and you don't, you get to special summon this level 5 for free. It's got 2100 attack, and it's a light machine. You won't be using it as much as you may think. It is more just for certain things that restrict you to only searching or summoning Cyber Dragon. That's when you want to do this, but it also is a great free summon, and it gets you into all sorts of crazy XCs and fusion monsters. Next up, we've got 3 of arguably the best Cyber Dragon, which is Cyber Dragon Core. What Cyber Dragon Core does is it allows you to search for any any spell or trap that has the keyword cyber in it. And if only your opponent controls a monster, you can banish this card from grave to special summon a Cyber Dragon monster from deck. You can only use one effect per turn, and you can only use one of the effects per turn, and that effect can only be used once per turn. The only thing I will say with Core is to watch out, as his first search effect only activates upon normal summons, so special summons won't trigger the effect. Then we are running 3 Cyber Dragon Hertz, a beautiful super rare copy from the Cyber Strike structure deck. So what Hertz does is, let's just show you here. It's a level 1 light machine. If it's not special summoned, you can make this card's level become 5 until end of the turn, but you can't special summon anything besides machines for the rest of that turn. But the effect I find myself using a lot more is if this card's sent to grave, you can either add a Cyber Dragon from deck or grave to hand. So that's the one I use more often. It's a great thing to foolish. It's a great thing to send at cost. It's just all around good card to be using, and it also has the key term Cyber Dragon and can be sent from deck to grave quite easily through a multitude of effects, but is also a great option alongside Core, who gets you that free summon. Hertz gets you the free search, so there's a lot of graveyard effects that can be used but aren't fully required. Then we are running 2 Cyber Dragon Naxters. I have a really beautiful Legendary Duelist Season 1 blue name print. Naxter's really cool. What Naxter does is you can... Oh, I forgot to mention, all these are treated as Cyber Dragons when on field and grave, which is super cool and super useful when it comes to fusions. So what Naxter does is you can discard a card to special summon this from hand, and when it's normal special summoned, you can target a machine with 2100 attack or defense in grave, special summon it, and you can't special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except machines. So you're locked into machines. But basically what you can do is discard to summon, and then revive a Cyber Dragon or some of the extra deck over here. Something really cool though is if you already have a machine in grave, if you discard a Cyber Dragon with 2100, you can then special summon that 2100 that you just discarded from hand. Just because there's like actually a target. Like, basically, you can't do it if there wasn't something already engraved. But if there was, and then you discard a viable target, you can basically bring that out. Then, this is one not many people run, but I actually really am quite fond of. Cyber Dragon Veer. It's a level 4, and it never really hits 21, that's why people don't use it. But it becomes Cyber Dragon while on field and grave. If you normal or special summon Cyber Dragon, you can special summon this card from hand into defense mode with 1600, and it buffs the attack and defense of all Cyber Dragons by 500. Now, with all these being treated as Cyber Dragon, well, yeah, there you go. It just basically buffs them all. It puts Cyber Dragon at a very respectable 26, because oftentimes 21's just a little too low to be beaten over things like, I don't know, Black Rose Moonlight or something. So, if it's being buffed by 500, it's now got that little extra firepower to help destroy those monsters just out of Cyber Dragon's range. So that's pretty cool. So next monster is a newer addition to the typical Cyber Dragon deck, Cyberdark Chimera. Now what this card does is it can sub out a spell or trap in hand and search you Power Bond directly from deck. And it has to be Power Bond, but it's still a great card to be searching. And if you do, you can, when using that Power Bond or when fusion and summoning that turn, you can also banish monsters from grave, giving you that big extra pool of cards to be used to bring out those harder to make fusions. And obviously that ties in really well with cards like Hertz, who like being sent to the grave to get you a search. Then this allows you to use this card again, giving it an extra dual purpose, which is really useful. Next, I am not fortunate enough to own Galaxy Soldiers, which is something I'm looking at getting. But I do run one Solar Wind Jammer. This is basically Cyber Dragon. It's a level 5 light machine that if your opponent controls... Well, this one's a bit more versatile. If you control no monsters, they don't have to control a monster. You can special summon this. So this is like a Cyber Dragon you can use on turn 1 even, which is really cool. Its original attack and defense are halved, so it's not got the power aspect, but its level increases by 1 every standby. Obviously, you're not really going to use many of these effects. It's just the fact that you can whack it out, easy peasy, turn 1 or turn 2 as your first play, and it's a free level 5 light machine. Again, can be put into all sorts of Xyz and fusions because of the machine tag and the light tag and even links. And then here's another, next monster is another card that not many people or any people use in Cyber Dragon. And that is Machina Fortress. It sees a little bit of play in Earthbox, but it's actually really versatile. What Machina Fortress does is you can discard machine-type monsters whose total levels equal 8 or more to special summon this card from hand or grave. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to grave, select and destroy one card your opponent controls. And when this face-up card is targeted for an effect by your opponent, you get to look at their hand and is it pitch one? Yeah, you discard one from hand. So the reason this is actually really cheeky is this is a level 7, right? And with the effect, you can actually discard itself and another monster, like one of these level 1s. Again, something like Hertz that would give you a graveyard effect, or a core that lets you get a graveyard effect at a later time, to bring this out from the graveyard because you've just discarded it. So that is really cool. It sounds a bit dodgy, but it works like that on Master Duel and Duel Link. So it's obviously, it doesn't sound all too legit, but that is a way you can play Machina Fortress. A super cheeky way to get this, not so good anymore, but it's still really cool. It's 2500, which is respectable. It's a free machine body on the board, and even though it's targeted destruction, so that's not great, you've got that there, and you do get a chance to look at your opponent's hand, which is pretty big. I'll actually put him over here. Yeah, so that's pretty big. Then we do have one Jizukiru, the Star Destroying Kaiju. It's the Machine Kaiju. there's not much else to say. Kaijus, you tribute your opponent's monsters that are good to give them this, which pretty respectable stats, but it doesn't have the cool effect that their monster will have had, or the opponent's monster may have been stronger. Also, because it's a machine, it's a lie. If it's in your grave or whatever, you can use it to fusion summon, help fusion the bigger monsters, or if there's a monster that gets boosted for how many machines are used, this just helps boost that little extra. Furthermore, with Cyberdark Chimera, which lets you banish from grave, again, this once you've kaiju'd them and you or they've destroyed the kaiju, it returns to your grave, and then with Chimera you can use it as part of the Power Bond Graveyard Banish. So that's really cool. And then for hand traps, these are very subjective. You can use whatever you want, and it's more down to what you go against in your locals. But I've opted for a couple weird ones, and then one that everyone knows Cyber Dragons are great with. The first one being one copy of Fantastical Dragon Phantasme. This is mainly just because I see a lot of Salamangre, a lot of Code Talkers with Heat Soul. They've had a bit of a boom recently, and so there's a lot of Link monsters around. So Phantasme is great at dealing with Link monsters, and you get to draw a card for each Link monster they control. He special summons down to Links as well. +1, and then shuffle the rest back, I believe. Yeah. So if they have like extra monster zone 2, 3, 4, extra monster zone 5, you get to draw 6 cards and get to pick one from that plentiful pile. So basically, it has actually come in clutch a few times. Say I needed a Star Destroying Kaiju or one of my spells that's a one of, I get to draw 6 and get to pick the card I need out of that 6. Obviously, it's not always 6. Sometimes it's 4, 3, whatever. But it just helps you get the card you need, and it lets you grab the card you need from a very big pile. Obviously, if you're not going against things like Salamangreats or whatever as much, something like Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion might be better suited to you. But this is something I'd recommend running because I know Salamangreats seem to be getting pretty big everywhere, especially since Circle got brought up to 3, I think it was the last bound list. So give him a try. He's not too bad. Then we're running the old classic couple Ash Blossoms. Can't go wrong. Mainly because Cyber Dragons have a very frail turn 1. That's why we're trying to run all these weird cards, such as Solar Windjammer, Machina Fortress, trying to make it so our turn 1 plays aren't so awful. And then that's why we're also running these hand traps, this one and the next one, because they restrict opponents' plays and you kind of want to shut them off. So we're running the hand traps that are most likely to just completely end an opponent's turn and stop them in their tracks, just so we get another turn to live, hopefully combo and OTK. So that's why we're running Ash Blossom. Stop that Vital Surge, stop the Branded Fusion or whatever, unless they've got Branded Lost, but do what you will, it's still useful and still happens quite often. So that's why we're running Ash Blossom. Plus it can just be helpful all around. And me as a hero player, I'm aware a lot of cool hero cards are coming in Legendary Duelist Season 3, such as Dark Calling and whatnot, so heroes are getting cheaper and maybe played a lot more. And let me tell you, Ash Blossom can really hurt heroes, so it looks like Ash Blossom's not going away anytime soon. And then finally, for the hand traps, we are running the main Cyber Dragon pick, 3 Psyframe Gammas, and obviously Cyframe Gear Gamma, sorry. And then 1 Cyframe Driver, because you have to. Now, what's really good about this, and what's really bad about this? What's really good about Gamma is it's a negate and destroy, again like Ash Blossom. You can completely shut down an opponent's entire turn if you're lucky, depend on matchup and everything. If they're not suited to be playing through loads and loads of hand traps, this can just shut them down. They can't do much, past turn, and you've got a turn with a battle phase to just go crazy in OTK. Also, it banishes these on end phase if your opponent doesn't destroy it in battle. I've had it a few times where they attack Driver, so I don't have to worry and I can use another Gamma later on. But with how a lot of the Cyber Dragon fusions work and whatnot, they can shuffle banished cards back into deck. Now, I currently don't have one, which is really annoying. But if you have a fusion monster that's very generic and just requires a light monster, you can shuffle these guys back into the deck. Well, this guy, most likely, because you need one of this and this, like, anywhere except the banished pile. So if that's the case, it lets you use this card over and over. Well, it lets you use all 3 copies. Even then, they're still not awful, because you've got the whole light thing. They're still usable. They're not awful. They're not bricks entirely. So that little bit of versatility means that it's really nice to be able to run Gamma, because it's one of the best ones, but it's also one of the most clunky hand traps going. So removing as much clunkiness as possible, being played in Cyber Dragons does that well, and the ability to recycle fairly well means that you can run this little package fairly well. And again, like I said, it's one of the best ones, but it's one of the hardest ones. So being able to run it makes this deck really good. And it's one of the main reasons I wanted to actually make this deck, just so I could play this awesome package efficiently. So yeah, this is all the monsters in the deck, and I'll just head on over and grab the spell. So as I've mentioned, this is a pretty typical Cyber Dragon deck, but all the little alterations that are unique to my build, I've tried to make it so my turn 1s aren't so doom and gloom and dead. So we are running 3 Cyber Emergency. If you don't know what Cyber Emergency is, it's probably, joint with Cyber Dragon Core, one of the best Cyber cards in the game. So you get to add a Light Machine that can't be normal summon set, or a Cyber Dragon from deck to hand. And then if this is negated, say by an Ash Blossom or whatever, this is a really cool thing that is not really apparent on many search cards. You can discard a card to add this card back to your hand and then just use it again. So that's really, really cool. You can only activate 1 Cyber Emergency per turn though, so be careful with that. But it does mean that it's not all doom and gloom. You can keep recycling it. They can't just entirely kill your deck by stopping 1 Cyber Emergency. Then we are running a really, really solid card, but you don't want... Again, we're trying to minimize clunkiness, trying to get good turn 1s and good turn 2s. 1 Cyber Repair Plant. This is a really solid card. So you can either add a Light Machine from deck to hand. So say you've not got a great hand and you want a core to search an emergency to get a bunch of monsters out. Cyber Repair Plant does that very well. You can also target a Light Machine in your grave, shuffle it into the deck. You're probably not going to be doing that often. However, if there are 3 or more Cyber Dragon in your graveyard, and remember all the other Cyber Dragons like Core, Hertz, Naxter, Veer, they're treated as Cyber Dragon on field and grave. So if you have 3 Cyber Dragons, you're actually allowed to use both effects, and that's probably the main or only time you'll be using the second effect. But it's a nice little thing that's there. But you do also have to be careful, because again, sometimes having your graveyard flooded's nice for various things, like fusions, like with Chimera, that can use Power Bond. And when Chimera uses Power Bond, it allows you to use Grave as well. What is Power Bond? Well, let's look. Power Bond's a really cool fusion spell that lets you go into a machine fusion from extra deck, using monsters from hand field to fuse it, and obviously if you've done the whole Chimera thing to search it this turn, Grave as well. It gains attack equal to its attack, so you just double its attack points, the fusion monsters. And then, during end phase, you take damage equal to the attack gained. So, be careful. Don't end yourself with your own Power Bond. It happens often, but just watch out. Next up, we have Cyberload Fusion, which is a very good card. We only have the 1, because you only need 1. Again, we don't want to ruin consistency, but this lets you fusion summon a fusion monster from extra deck that the Cyber Dragon is one of the materials by shuffling from field and or face-up banished cards. So this is what lets you recycle your Psy-Frame stuff, lets you recycle all your banished cards, and that's the main usage. You're getting a big extra deck monster by getting back your banished cards. But what makes this even better is You can't declare an attack for the rest of the turn, but it's quick play. So what you can do is you can activate this on your opponent's turn, like on their end phase. And let's say you bring something out like a Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon, which when it's brought out destroys spells and traps up to the amount of materials used. You can return banished cards. Say you return 2 Cyber Dragons to bring out Chimera Tech Rampage. On their end phase, you don't have the downside of not being able to attack. Gets to destroy 2 of their spells and traps before they can activate them, if they're like set, so you're going against Eldritch or, I don't know, Altergeist or something. And then you get a whole super cool monster on your field for next turn, and you've got your banished monsters back, so it's just a really solid card. Then we are running an Overload Fusion. This lets you fusion summon a Dark Machine Fusion monster by banishing from field or grave. So obviously these go in conjunction very well. You can banish to bring out your monster, then set this, then on your opponent's turn, use the ones that you banished for this to, you could even, say you use this to make a Chimera Tech Rampage or a Cyber End, then return them back to your deck and make the same card again if you have 2 of them in your extra deck. So if you are running 2 Cyber Ends, for example, you could literally make 2 Cyber Ends in the space of like a couple phases. I mean, you could technically do it on the same turn in the same phase, but it'd be more beneficial to do the Cyber Load on their turn, so you're not restricting yourself. Next is a pretty cheeky card. We have Cyber Dark Realm. So this searches a Cyber Dark. We only have the 1 Chimera. Then it lets you instantly normal summon that monster. So obviously what you do is, because it's got the keyword Cyber, you can search this off of core, activate it, normal summon core, so because it's normal you get the search, activate this, search Chimera, Chimera gives you Realm gives you the extra normal summon, exchange a spell or trap in your hand for the Power Bond, which you're allowed to use Grave for this turn to banish, which again ties in with Cyber Load. And it just helps you get a really cool fusion right off the bat. Now, I don't own one, but a really good one you can do with just the Cyber Dragon core and 1 other Cyber Dragon in your hand or Grave if you had to discard it or something, is a Cyber Twin Dragon. Very simple. Same with Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon, which is really cool too. So there's not much else use for Cyber Dark Realm. A lot of the other effects are just down to actually playing Cyber Darks rather than just the 1 Chimera. But it's still very useful. Next up, we have 2 machine duplications. People run 3, but I find that really, really inconsistent and bricky. 2 seems to be very consistent. So basically, this is an age-old tactic, really old. If you're familiar with Cyber Dragons, you should know this one instantly. So target a machine you control with 500 or less attack, special summon up to 2 monsters from deck with the same name. Basically, because on-field Cyber Dragon monsters like Core are treated as Cyber Dragon, you normal summon the Core, get your search, do all the shenanigans. Then Machine Dupe lets you summon 2 of the normal Cyber Dragon, the 2100 level 5 Cyber Dragon. And obviously you can use them for Xyz, you can use them for Fusion, it's just really great advantage. Then for the one-off spells, we've got 1 Monster Reborn. This is great, this can bring back all sorts of things. You can also steal your opponent's monsters. One I like to do is bring back Cyber Dragon Infinity. Cyber Infinity Dragon, sorry. And then take my opponent's monster to give it material, and then just negate their thing. So that's a really cool one. And then we're running Foolish Burial, again because Core and Hertz, they have those graveyard effects, and it also helps build up your graveyard if you want to use something like Overload. All around great, gives you some nice advantage. Basically it's just like a free search if you're dumping Hertz, so it's a nice way around it. And that is the spell lineup. So for traps, there's not many. We're running 3 Cybernetic Overflow. So what Cybernetic Overflow is it's a trap where you banish Cyber Dragons from your grave to target and destroy cards on the field. So it's just kind of like if you are in a really bad situation, say you've just done a turn 1, all you could do was bring out a Seeger with 2 Cyber Dragons. You get 2 free pops on their turn. You don't want this to come up often, but it can come up quite a bit and can save you. I know people don't tend to run this anymore, but again, like I said, I want your turn 1s to not just end you by being so bad, and this is a nice little insurance card to help you stay in the game a little bit longer, because that is the main issue of Cyber Dragons. Also, if this card is destroyed by a card effect, you get to add a Cyber Spell or Trap from deck to hand. So I guess you can search something like Cyber Emergency for next turn, or Cyber Dark Realm, or Cyber Load Fusion. And then we're running 2 Fiendish Chain. This could be Infinite Impermanence, this could be Breakthrough Skill. Out of the 3, I would recommend Breakthrough Skill, but I don't have Breakthrough Skill. Mainly because if you're using this, you're not going to be using it as a hand trap, you're going to be setting it. Now, what are the benefits of all 3? If you're setting Infinite Impermanence, you get to negate or stop them using a spell or trap in the same column. Also, it does have the potential to be a hand trap. Fiendish Chain, which is the one I'm using and for very good reason, is the monster it negates also can't attack, which does save your life points, which again, don't want your turn 1s to be bad, want you to stay in the game a little longer if you've been forced to go first. This does help you. However, if they destroy this, their monster gets their effects back, so that's quite a big risk you're taking by using Fiendish Chain. But the stopping them attack has actually saved me in like 4 games already, so it's pretty good. But Breakthrough Skill, which is the one I'd recommend, is you flip it up, you negate the monster effect. I forgot to say, all 3 of these cards I'm talking about, the main effect is negate opponent's monster effect. Breakthrough Skill negates the opponent's monster effect, goes to grave. Then in a later turn, you can banish it from grave to negate again. So you're just getting double negate, basically. And again, like I said, you're not going to be using Infinite Impermanence. Well, probably not using Infinite Impermanence as a hand trap too often. So basically getting 2 Infinite Impermanences in 1 card, pretty nice. Or if you're going for the Fiendish Chain to help your life points, also pretty nice. Extra deck I'll go over very quickly because mine's not complete. I don't have all the extra deck stuff. So, Cyber End Dragon. 3 Cyber Dragons, 4,000 attack. If that's a power bond, that's an 8,000 beater with piercing battle damage. Super fun. Chimera Tech Overdragon, beautiful gold. This gains 800 attack for each machine used, and you can just put in as many machines as you want. So if you're power bonding or overloading this, power bond with Chimera, using all that graveyard, that late game graveyard, you're going to be getting so many monsters. This is going to be getting up to like a natural 4,000 or whatever. And for each monster used, this can attack another monster. So say they have a 5 or 6 monsters in attack mode. This is like 5,000. Just keep hitting all those monsters. 1v games single-handedly. Now for the best fusion, Chimeritic Rampage. As I mentioned earlier, when brought out, destroy spells and traps equal to the materials used. But most of all, you can send like Cyber Dragons from deck to grave to give this card more attacks, and they don't have to be on monsters, they can be direct. So you can actually get 6,300, or if Power Bond, 12,600. Don't know why that took me so long. Of just direct attacks if they've got nothing there. Also, because you're sending things, you can send Core, Hurts, get the bonuses from them. Really nice. Eternity Dragon, this is more just late game after you've gone through a few turns. You're struggling to get that OTK because the game's dragged on, which isn't nice for Cyber Dragons. 4k defense and gains all sorts of untargetability, nice prevention effects on him. Just a bit of a wall if you're struggling to stay in the game because the game's dragged on a bit. Also, if it's in grave, you can banish it to protect your other ones from effect. So that's nice too. If you're going to get something like Dogmatica that's forcing you to pitch from extra deck, this is a nice one to pitch because then you can protect like your Chimera Tech Rampage when you're trying for that OTK later. Then for XEs, Cyber Dragon Nova. You probably want 2 of these, but I only have the 1. So Cyber Dragon Nova, if it's destroyed by opponent's card effect, you can special summon a machine type fusion from your extra deck. So that's any of these fellas. And also you can detach material, target Cyber Dragon engrave, and special summon it. But on top of that, Infinity. What Infinity does is it requires level 6s, or you can just put it on top of a Nova. It gains 200 attack for each material, so if you've done the 2 into Nova, and then Nova itself, that's a plus 600, putting him at 27. And what he can do is he can grab an opponent's card and just yoink, put it on itself as material, get another 200 boost, and the best part, he can detach material to negate and destroy a card when, well, the card that is activating an effect. When your opponent activates monster effect, detach, negate, destroy. Super sweet. On top of the steal once per turn. Sadly not on your opponent's turn, but it's great with Monster Reborn. Because you Monster Reborn it, it's got no materials, big sad. But then you just take your opponent's biggest monster. Boom. Then for links, we've got Cyber Dragon Seeger. Sadly, this is probably what you're sitting on for turn 1 if you're not doing too well. Great card nonetheless though, 2100, anything with 2100 or more, if this hasn't attacked in either player's battle phase, gains 2100 for the turn, but no damage can be done by that monster. What's really cool though is you special summon Seeger, they go into their battle phase, you can buff it, well, it can buff itself by 21, putting it at 42. They won't take any battle damage, but that's pretty hard to get around if they've not just killed it with an effect. So it's not great, but it's probably your turn 1 play. Then we do have Liner the Light Charmer Lustrous. Lets you steal your opponent's light monsters from grave. When dies, gets you a light monster, a little one like Claw or Hurts or whatever. Fairly simple. It's just 2 monsters. It's if you're struggling to go into Seeger, if at least one of your monsters are a light monster, say you're using Machina Fortress or something to get into it, helps you get there. And then you can use Relinquished Anima or Linkuriboh. Usually I go for Relinquished Anima, to be honest, but Linkuriboh has the down arrow, which is nice. It requires a level 1, so like I think Cause are 1, Hurts are Nexter. Some of them might be level 2. But this has more survivability, helps you stay alive again. I know I keep saying it, but you want to be staying alive past that turn 1 if you've been forced to go first. So Linkuriboh does the job for you. Anyway, thanks for watching. Again, I'll do a video on combos and whatnot later. Let me know what your thoughts on the deck are. Again, it's not complete, and I'll be doing multiple deck lists over a few months to show you the improvement of the deck. But with that being said, I'll see you guys next time.